full review of the xTool MetalFab laser welder in CNC. So many projects, got to do a lot of testing with this machine and can't wait to share more about this. And I get to right here. So this video, you can use the timestamps if you want to skip on around. I'm going to review the laser welder, the CNC, project ideas, projects I did, applications, lots of info in this one. Lots of really good stuff. So here we have it. First up, 30 seconds. What is this machine? Let's get a quick overview. All right, so what's new? Yes, I've actually already posted a few videos on this machine and some of the projects I did, some of the testing I did. This one has a lot more features, showing all the things, really getting a closer look at the machine, some of the project capabilities, and some of the test files, materials, lots of questions answered. Do want to say, I'll talk more about this at the end of the video. If you are at all considering buying it, if you're interested in purchasing, now is the best time, of course, to lock in the best price. It's just going to go up from here. So definitely check that out. And at the very least, just check out the website to see all the specs. There's a lot of other videos, other content on the main site. So you use the link down below. It is our affiliate link. We do get a small commission from each sale. But lots of good stuff here. Some other new and exciting news about this machine, that they just got some amazing certification, which is a big deal in the welding community. So first up, xTool is now part of the American Welding Society. So again, you want these impartial third parties to say, no, this is legit. SGS is a company, you can pause this and go back and look at it, and they've actually done all of the inspections, and they're an international company that inspects all these machines to ensure, that these are quality, high-end. So just rest assured, high-end, lots more specs on the details, all these kinds of details on the website. So make sure you do click that link eventually, but if you're looking for it. All right, there we have it. There is the welder, the wire feeder. Here is the CNC cutter. Just a quick little tour, and we're going to jump into welding and exploring all that the laser welding entails. But here you can see the CNC bed. We'll get into that in a second, but let's start with the welding. This unit that we tested out was the 1200 watt. There is the 800 watt, which has the wire feeder built in, but this is the 1200. I can't really speak to the 800 because I didn't test it, but the 1200, it was awesome. This really cool panel, you have all your settings. You can adjust it for different material types, thickness, different type of wire, all that good stuff. What we ran while we were welding was a mix of, just kind of a classic mix of argon on CO2, I believe, 75-25. But anyway, we'll get into the gas. We'll talk about that in a bit. But to swap back and forth is super simple. You just pull off some latch, a couple clips, and this is, the laser welder. It's also the cutter. It's also what you use in the CNC. And so you just swap it back and forth. It has these lenses, and so this is Mike. He was the host. Awesome dude. He's got some really great content. Make sure you check out his stuff, Diode Designs. But just showing there is a protective lens on the front end to protect the main lens, because this is a laser, right? And so if you are familiar with lasers, there's a little bit of maintenance every once in a while to clean out. Well, having this front one, this is the one that's going to kind of protect. It's the protective lens on the outside. So the main laser lens isn't ever really going to get damaged. If you do need to clean that front one, it's really simple to clean that out. Really simple. There's going to be plenty of videos on the maintenance for it, but maintenance isn't too much. The wire feeder, right? It's built in. You just got the buttons there. And so this is just going to advance the wire. So you're not holding multiple things. Here it is. And you just kind of feel for it. And you really are going to let that wire direct you in the welding. And so this was my first time ever welding. I'd never touched a welder. I hadn't been within 10 feet of a welder before. And I'm just running it right here. And so this is some stainless steel. My first weld, it's just guiding me along. It's guiding me along. I kind of went a little bit faster, but it's still such a clean weld for my first time ever. And, you know, some great results. You can see a lot of other welds coming up where beginners can still do a great job, but it's strong. So we did end up welding it on both sides, and it held, and it held up to all the abuse. So I did bring some other pieces, just some welding test kits to kind of just get a feel for it. Again, I hadn't ever done it before, but just experimenting with different metals, just getting a feel for it. It is really simple. And so obviously if you're going to do a bunch of small stuff like this, you would want to have a better, you know, clamping setup. So if you're going to do those really intricate, you know, other things, you'll just have a cool clamping setup like here. But it is really simple. It was really simple to get up and running in no time. But I'm really excited for the applications with doing panels like this, doing legs. You know, it was pretty clean. It was a pretty clean weld. And so just kind of feeling out, you know, that wire and letting it pull, really, really great results. So lots more possibilities with the welding. But yeah, this was just a really, really simple, basic, getting started. Yeah, super, super stoked. Okay. Here's one of xTool's projects. This is 5mm steel, and you can see here the welds, just how clean they are, and they held up, right? So I actually got to see this piece at the demo room. It was either 5mm or 6mm. It's thick stuff. So they cut it on that CNC cutter, and then all of these welds really, really clean. But do they hold up? How strong are they? So I got to sit in it, and yeah, it held up just fine. So I think there are a lot of great possibilities here. You know, some solid welding, but it's really, really clean. That's the advantage, and it's very beginner friendly. I can do other materials like this brass. I can do some welding here. This is a cool little fire pit setup. Lots of, you know, different welds here to do this. You know, they cut that on the CNC cutter and then welded it up. Here's another project they did. This is all brass, a couple just to get it in place, and then some you know, longer some more welds on the inside. All right, we can weld all kinds of different materials, even super thin stock like this welds really, really well. And so a lot of folks, when they've talked about welding the thin stuff, aluminum, really challenging. Well, this machine, this laser welder works really well to get nice, clean welds, right? Again, how much wire are you doing? Get all those settings in. Some great results on a really clean. There's no splatter. There's no dross going everywhere. This is what I'm really excited about, is doing these circular bases where you can just do a wraparound, you get the right amount of wire, all the variables, but it's strong, right? It's strong. So imagine you have a pillar like this, and you want to make a table base. Well, I'm really excited about this for furniture building, is making one of these pedestal tables, right? And so the reason why I'm so excited is a couple years back, you know, about 4 or 5 years ago, I made a big table, you know, an epoxy table, and I had to, you know, purchase this big base. You see it right here? Well, look at those really basic welds on that. Well, that unit, that base was like 300, 400 bucks just for that. You know, obviously some powder coating, just get a local shop to powder coat it for you. So lots of possibilities for table bases there. I'll explore some more table base ideas later in the video. Okay, underwater welding. I still don't know all the applications for this. You know, I can think of a metal dock on the water. If you think of other applications, when would you use underwater welding? Put in the comments. I'm really curious where that feature would be handy, but it works. You can do it. So that laser makes it possible. Clean, clean, clean. All right, other applications. So you can cut, right? Handheld cutting. Obviously, we can put this in the CNC and can do it, but in handheld mode, you can cut through. And I think there are some different settings for how much, you know, the thickness. You can check the website for that. One note is, I will say, when we were welding, we were using argon as a shielding gas. So for welding, you will have to have, you know, different shielding gas. So there's a little bit more on that. Expect more information on that in upcoming videos, talking about the whole, because that's new to me, as far as what you would need for the welding component. This is the rust removal. Awesome. But I will talk about when I get to the CNC cutting that you actually can do a lot of it just on a compressed air, on an air compressor, or just oxygen. So this is a cool feature on the Facebook group. So BTX Laser, this is some videos that he put up on the MetalFab Facebook group showing some rust removal through paint. And so I thought that was really cool. So he was one of the beta testers, and he has got some really cool stuff over on Facebook, so you can check it out. But here, I think he said this was 7 millimeter pipe. And so just cutting through here, and he noted that the kerf size is really, really small. And so with other torches, you're removing a ton of material, right? It's a really big kerf, but it's just so thin, the kerf, because it's a laser. And then obviously this is 7 mil, so maybe, the spec's a little bit thicker, but it's still cut through, right? It's still cut through, pop it off. You can see he talked about how it was cold to the touch. It wasn't crazy hot like with some other cutters he's used. So check out his stuff. He's got some more things over on Facebook. You can check out that MetalFab group, but wanted to give him a shout out. So we got that little BTX laser watermark. Another really cool thing was actually this air compressor, more specifically the save gas nozzle that they engineered. This thing is awesome. Really, like you can see in this table, you can pause it and look a little bit better, but you don't have to use nitrogen, you don't have to use other gases. You get so much more power just from this air compressor and then an air dryer. Here's the nozzles, telescopic, pretty awesome, pretty amazing. Let's talk about the CNC cutter. We actually ran air, so an air compressor and then an air dryer to make sure that there's no moisture coming into the CNC cutter is really what we used for most of the cuts. And so, sometimes if you want really, really thick stuff or you want more power, you could use oxygen. Oxygen is an option. You could use nitrogen, but we really ran compressed air for most everything we cut. So there is an extra cost, for the shielding gases that you're going to need for welding. But here you can see there's these little, standoffs to support the material. I found that on most of the pieces, we didn't need all of them. And so it just adjusts really easily. The bed on the inside is 24 inches by 24 inches what it can cut. There's a little opening on the side. See where I'm sliding there? That actually goes through further, and I could slide in a longer piece in from the side, or you can just put it in like that. Here, I only have that one support in the middle, and that was sufficient for most of the projects. We used a variety. We really only tested, some 1 millimeter, 3 millimeter, but you'll see shortly, I mean, they've done 10 millimeter steel, carbon steel with great results. And so here's some brass. I'll definitely do a lot more brass, but want to show, how it supports. Can it hold and support small materials? If you have a bunch of smaller materials, well, sure, you can go in there. It is going to kind of go into that lip and overlap a bit. So, kind of finesse it a bit. But we actually did test it without clamping it in and just letting it support itself. And because it's vibe free, there's not a lot of vibrations. It didn't even need clamps to hold it in place, and it didn't move around. Whereas like with the CNC, a typical CNC, like right here, you can see it. It's just supported on those those standoffs, those risers. There's no clamps on there. There's nothing touching the actual, metal itself other than the laser. And so there's not a lot of vibration. So I can do super intricate cuts here. Look at how small and thin that kerf is. You could never do this with plasma, right? So here are some bigger, tests from xTool. From their testing, just to show when it comes to simple shapes, it goes really fast. There's actually some settings in the algorithm to kind of sense, and do things even faster. There's so many settings. And so, sure, you could go crazy fast, but really what you want is you want it to be clean. And this really cuts even faster than a lot of machines that I use for other lasers for wood and such. But yeah, it can cut up to 10 millimeters thick carbon steel. That's crazy. Here's actually a test they did with 10 millimeter steel to make a wrench, right? Pop it out, take a look. So, I mean, obviously, so many possibilities, but you could do the thick stuff if you wanted. All right, here's one of our just, 1 millimeter 1 millimeter, yeah, carbon steel, just cutting out some different files. You can see the different speed. Obviously, there's a lot of variables with the settings, and you can adjust it. There's so much, but it is fast. It is really fast. This is all real time, is not sped up. Here I'm doing some little metals, so you can make your own blanks, and I talk about that a lot in my videos, and you'll see that a lot here. Some great ideas of creating your own metal blanks and awards for customization in shops. That is a great project for sports teams. We'll get into that. Here you can just see, again, all of those intricate little details in real time. There's no dross, there's no splatter. It's just cutting everything out. The waste is just popping down below, and it cuts really clean. And that's really what you want. You don't want to have a lot of post processing, a lot of cleaning after the fact, or deburring. Obviously, there are settings, for the thicker stuff, whether you choose to run compressed air or if you do choose to run the other gases. But again, for more on the gases and what you can run there, look online to the website that we'll link down below. Also, there's more experienced welders that are talking about it, who've been testing it on Facebook, the Facebook group for MetalFab. But here you can just see real time. This is how it's going, right? It's clean. It cuts clean. It cuts pretty quickly if you think about how much it's doing. And I think you get the idea, so we'll speed it on up. But this actually, I had planned to make like a napkin holder. And so I was going to do 2 panels, and I was going to weld it together. Then I realized, oops, I brought some 1 millimeter steel. And so I wish I had more time. Again, this was a demo room. I don't have my unit yet. So expect a lot more testing in the future. But it just drops into the tray down below. You pop it out, really clean, really clean. And it's still pretty clean for the thicker stuff as well. But there you go. These are some panels. In my other videos, I show these slow in real time so you can get a feel. This is that idea of those custom signs that I feel a lot of folks are going to want to use this machine for, to customize whether it's an address. This, I think, is a really easy, I mean, think about it. You have a machine, you can do the software in a couple minutes. You plop in your steel and you cut it out, and there's minimal cleaning. Maybe you want to do some, different color effects afterwards. You want to paint it or do something. But that's a pretty quick and efficient way to make one of these products that, a custom sign like that, depending on the material and the thickness. I mean, that's 50 to 100 bucks, if not more, depending on size. So lots of signs, fun. Just pop it out. You can wear the gloves. Sometimes it's really hot, sometimes it's not, but safety first. You could add some sand in the bottom too to catch it. That's an option as well. But sparks. Here is an address. So I'm actually going to show you the software and how to design this at the end of the video. Again, those timestamps will show you that. But the software is really easy. So if you're coming from the welding world and you're intimidated by the software, it is very intuitive. And so this just cut out. This is real time right here. The simple shapes, it cuts out so fast. Nice large little address sign. Again, lots of possibilities. Here's a little top view just to get a feel for it. But you can maximize. This has two, I don't remember exactly. It has cameras, one or two. Really, you can get pinpoint accuracy. So you can maximize all of the space on the sheet. This is actually anodized aluminum I'm cutting. So like those anodized aluminum business cards. So you could do lots of cool things with this, plaques or other things, and then take it to a smaller laser to engrave. Here's some more of that carbon steel, little Bigfoot sign. But lots of possibilities. Some folks have asked, can you engrave? Can this engrave? It doesn't have that feature right now. I don't know, they might in the future, but it's actually really simple to take this and move it to another one of the smaller lasers, the F series. You'll see me doing that with the metals just to engrave. And actually for workflow, I find that's a lot better to cut something on the main laser like I do with a CO2 laser, and then I bring it over to one of the smaller Galvo lasers. Anyway, engraving, we'll get into that later. Stainless steel. This is 3 millimeter stainless steel. Yeah, let's cut some knife blanks. I think knives, making knife blanks for knife makers, for woodworkers, right? I'm primarily a woodworker, but I'm branching out into all kinds of other things now. And I've done a knife handle before, and I've wanted to do more. Well, you can just make your own knife blanks with this thicker stuff, stainless steel. Here's some more of those metals. The cool thing about stainless steel is you can do color engraving with different lasers, with fiber lasers, with MOPA, different possibilities. brass, right? So we mentioned that thin kerf. Look at that detail. So when we first cut this at the test, the demo room, we didn't think it was cutting through, but it did. It's just holding in place. That kerf is so small. It is so thin, it's not falling through. And so on some of the pieces, you do have to poke them out and they'll pop out just fine. But here, cutting an ornament, cutting across, jewelry, we'll show some other examples of jewelry options. But brass, I definitely wanted to bring some brass. So I brought some brass sheets with me and we tested it out. And yeah, they're really, really, really cool. Anyway, that's that small piece. Again, there's no vibration. It just rested right there. Even those small scraps work well. Here's some other xTool tests that they've done since. Doing some other sheets, some brass sheets, some other possibilities, cutting out brass quickly. Here, I don't know exactly what metal this is. It looks like some form of steel. Maybe I don't think it's aluminum. Anyway, you can do jewelry, right? You can do jewelry. You can do across here. You can do, look at the intricacy that you have right there. Some possibilities. Maybe on those really small ones, you're going to want to do like, a vibratory tumbler like you do with shell casings or something like that, or a rock tumbler to deburr it. If you have a lot of experience on the post-processing, drop some comments down below on some tips. But yeah, that's how I popped it out with using that little machine there. But let's look at the brass. So the brass, I just can't wait to do more of this. I did a lot of, experimenting on this laser right here, the F1 Ultra, on cutting out brass. It just took so long, but these, I mean, the results, I can do this. They're just great. And you can just do a ton of things. I think that's a really cool look, these ornaments. The high end, that's solid brass, right? And so I think there's a lot. I haven't tested out copper. I think copper works in the machine, but we can do other jewelry, other possibilities. I haven't punched out everything, but little bracelets, other things. Here you can see these brass nameplates. I could pull it out. I cut that one on the old F1 Ultra, but you can then just engrave it, for a plaque, for a baseball, obviously. But I think there's a lot of plaque potential to do a full-on award shop, making the blanks for folks. But there's a lot of possibilities there with the brass, and yes, even doing the small stuff. On that stainless steel, we did run it just with compressed air. And so there were a couple pieces that didn't quite pop out, but just really using, simple, just a little punch kit like this. You don't need something fancy like this. You just punch it out. So there was a little bit of dross there, but it is really clean. You can clean that up in no time. So, whether using an angle grinder, a sander, if you are a pro and you have experience, with steel and metals like this, go ahead and drop comments down below or link some videos for folks to learn, how to sand and do abrasives. So here I'm just cleaning up the edges on those, making sure it's smooth. Obviously you could do a lot more. And then I took it over to the other lasers. So this is the F1 Ultra laser. The F series by xTool are amazing. I have a ton of videos on those. You can really engrave just about anything and everything. Obviously that needs to be cleaned up after the fact. I did that on some. This is using the different colors. So using whether it's the blue lights or the fiber power, different color effects. We can get a yellow effect, a blue effect, a black, different colors because it's stainless steel. So that's really cool. So this is all done on the F1 Ultra. I haven't fully got my settings dialed in, but there's lots of possibilities there with some colors. But yeah, some cool possibilities. So again, just doing some more, just some possibility. You've heard me say it. You get the idea, right? And I do genuinely. There's just so much creativity to be had and so many things that you can make. Here's those anodized aluminum blanks. So these awards, we can just quickly do them. Really, really great. Look how clean that is. But whether you want to just batch these out to sell the blanks to other laser users, there's a lot of people in the community who'd love them, or you want to do them yourself. Lots of possibilities on those metals. So let's talk about these here medals, medallions. So many possibilities. Now, obviously the anodized, right? Those anodized sheet, we can cut them to any shape, and these are just all PNGs. Or a JPEG, and you can see how it does adjust when you do the engraving for the different shading from, you know, the original color. You can see what it looks like in color and there. So you get some really cool results. Now this is just metals. What else do you think would be really cool with the anodized material? Obviously you could do signs, you could cut out cool signs, plaques. I think plaques are a great idea with that. You could do, right, this is UV printing. So UV printing is a possibility. This is just, you know, obviously you could do this for whatever marathon you're running. You know, where's that one I had? You know, so many. You know, sure. I mean, I don't know what dad's actually going to want to wear this. But, you know, you can make cool things. You know, local triathlon, local marathon, possibilities, schools, right? Medallions, different things. I think there's a lot of possibility. There's obviously teams, right? So teams, you know, a baseball team, you know, 20 kids, you know, that's a lot of profits to be made there. But that's a little bit more on the metals. And this here is that 3mm stainless steel. So you can see it's a little bit of deburring. That cleans up in no time. If I chose to use oxygen, also we were just learning the settings. If we dialed in the settings, I'm sure we could get it even cleaner. But then just quick, you know, using the angle grinder, cleaned it up. And then just this little benchtop sander is great. I've used this thing for so many things. It's just an old Harbor Freight unit. Actually, my buddy Chad's Custom Creations was also there. You can check out his video. He did something similar as well. Awesome community, lots of other folks. You can see some other ideas there, so you can check out his video. But here's my little knife. Just wanted to clean it up a little bit just to get the effect, not necessarily making it usable yet. Just wanted to clean up, deburr it, and then I thought, let's etch it. So we're going with a Damascus steel etch with the laser, just because why not? Actually, I've bought a blank before that wasn't really Damascus steel, but it was etched to look like Damascus steel. Looks really cool. And so anyway, you could engrave anything on this, right? The whole possibility, you could do a wood handle, you could do, you know, epoxy handles, all the different handle blanks. But look how cool that is. Looks awesome, right? So lots more you could do. And then just using this little rotary attachment, you could use a Dremel, just clean it up. See how it's still so clean, so clean. So for engraving, I think it's fine to not have the engraver all set into the MetalFab itself, because then you can use it on the other ones. But it's pretty simple. Just pop it in one of those other machines. But there's the knife. So obviously this here is not real Damascus. This is that stainless. However, my buddy Mike at Dio Designs, he did cut, you know, about the same thickness, maybe even thicker, a true Damascus steel blank. And so he was able to cut, you know, Damascus steel out of blank. So if you can find someone who can forge it and get the real stuff, I've bought kits like this, just a knife blank like this with the etching on it, or, you know, like the full etching on the whole thing. And those are pretty pricey, right? And so this is something that you can do, and you can engrave deep enough where it's not going to come off, or you can do other designs. So I think engraving on the stainless is great. Here's what it looked like. This was just using the F1 Ultra here. I could go deeper. I could go a lot deeper if I wanted to. You know, this one hasn't been cleaned up from the oxidization. But there's it cleaned up. You could obviously do a bluing agent. You know, there's lots of possibilities to change up the colors for the knife blanks. But I think the knife blanks, that is a huge potential for making those for woodworkers who have the wood, who want to make knife blanks like this one. So check out this. This is a knife that I made a while back. One possibility that you could do. So here's that Damascus steel blank. Go ahead, add your wood, add some epoxy, add the plugs, add the brass little pegs, clean it up. This is just real quick. I want to explore this a lot more. So look for more on this in the future. All right, time for some more sales ideas. Like, how are you going to make money with this? Or even if you're not in this for money, if you're just doing it as a hobby, some ideas. I've shared in my other videos several different project ideas. You've seen quite a few here, but here I just want to show you, this is on Etsy. Granted, this is Etsy, and so this is what, you know, some folks are charging, but this is a design I'm really excited about, doing these panels and then welding together for table bases. And here are some prices that people are charging for these custom projects. Now, obviously, that's on the higher end for orders. I think the ones that are going to be the most easy to get, well, not necessarily this one. The most you know, common orders that you're going to get are going to be those custom signs. But
There's so many possibilities here. This is one that I love. I'm really excited about this. This right here, that definitely looks like the size of the 24-inch by 24-inch. Then we can cut the panel. Then we weld it together with stocks. I think materials, maybe $100 top. So there's a lot of margins to be made there. A little bit of labor, but all of these definite lots of possibilities. So if you go on Etsy, you can see lots of different metal art possibilities of projects you can make, and really a lot of these are definitely possible. Sometimes you'll see what people are charging for just these small little one-offs. You can also see just different files that you can access, especially for these kits, like these table legs, or other, like a minimalist end table or something like that. The fire pits, I think, are a great idea. Again, if you're looking for some more ideas, you can check out my other videos. I have a lot. But the signs, the custom signs for folks, I think are going to be great. Like these type of ones, right? Where you do a custom name for someone, for a family cabin or their house or the address. This particular website is called Creative Fabrica. I talk about it in a lot of my videos. It's just a great source for files. You can actually get 10 files for free if you use my link down below. It is like a subscription, so about $4. There's different plans. You get unlimited downloads. So I could download this one and it's just unlimited commercial license. I can sell things. But what's great about these is, again, for the cost of maybe
one file or maybe two, right? I mean, obviously, like these house letters right here, about $2 for one digital file. So the cost of two of them, you get a month of unlimited downloads. So it's a great source, all kinds of possibilities. Also, these fonts are really important when you're doing, the metal cutting. And so having special fonts that work that stencil style, but having more possibilities. So that's great. Knife blanks, lots of files, but also you see a lot of these are plasma files. And the one thing a lot of people, don't take into account with this laser cutter, the fiber laser, the kerf, the amount of material removed is so much thinner. If you check out the Facebook group on the MetalFab, there's some other testers that have really showed why the kerf is so small and why that's superior to plasma cutters. The level of detail, which you really saw with obviously all of the brass and the jewelry and those smaller pieces. But anyway, lots of ideas here. Check it out. Go to Etsy. You can see all the possibilities, like this file right here. There's these packs. Obviously this is a bigger cost, but look at all of these different designs, lots of different possibilities. And you can actually customize it really easily in the software. I will do a lot more videos on the software coming up, but here's a little bit more on the software. So this is primarily just to show how simple the software is. Sometimes when I learn new machines, the software is not intuitive. If you are not if you are new to xTool and the Creative Space software, it is insanely intuitive and they're constantly upgrading it in a positive way, not in a confusing way. And so if you're coming from the welding world and want to learn the software, it is very intuitive. And again, they're constantly coming out with cool new features. So I will in the future be showing a lot more tutorials on how to do this stuff, but it's really simple. You just throw in an image. You can convert JPEGs or PNG images to an SVG file, a vector file, and then you have it to cut. Really simple. Really simple. You can use cool fonts like we showed earlier with Creative Fabrica. This is one, Pegro, where I'm going to use that special font because it has the little cutoff there for the A, so I'm not going to lose that center part to make it look really weird. So that's an important consideration as far as fonts when you do customization, which really is where this machine is going to shine. But you have a family name, you're just going to type it, and then just add yourself a little rectangle. And this is how simple it is to make it, a one-piece custom work. Then you just combine, you kind of just line it up, and then you have these two overlapping shapes. And then if you just select them together, you can merge them. And that's simple. You have a new file that's a standoff. You could add a little rectangle there because that dot on the eye isn't going to show up. But it's really simple to customize family names for wall hangers or for addresses. This is great for addresses. Like you can see right here, we have the number, we have the road. We just add, and then we can add little circles there, little points. That 1011, you saw me cut that earlier. But lots of possibilities, and we'll explore more on the software in future videos, but it's really simple. So just a closer look at all these projects. I think there's like close to 60 pieces here that I was able to do over 2 days in the demo room. My videos will get a lot more in the future, but really, really cool results. Amazing, amazing machine. So there are so many more ideas for projects. I will be doing a lot more testing, a lot more projects with this machine, and I'll show a lot of possibilities. If you haven't seen my other videos, my other non-metal fab videos, it really is exploring all the possibilities of these new machines. This is a great maker era, but different material types, projects, for small business, but also, custom orders, just so much. So look forward to some great tutorials. Consider subscribing. You can see my woodworking content, my laser content, all kinds of different things. Lots of good stuff there. And now, if you are interested in purchasing, yes, I did get to go out. xTool paid for me to go out. And, obviously this is a sponsored video in the sense that, I do get a small commission on each sale. So if you're interested in buying, if you're interested in purchasing any component, if you use our affiliate link, this QR code or down in the description, we do get a small portion of each sale. It supports the channel. It's why I've been dedicating so many of these videos to my channel, really expanding. And so please consider using that. And of course, if you're going to use the link, turn off the Honey browser extensions and those other things that take the commission. But questions. What do you still want to know about this? While I don't have my machine yet here, Mike has been showing so much cool stuff, and I can reach out to some other folks who have this unit. They can test out some more things. What are you curious about? What have you not seen on the description? What do you want to know? Drop it in the comments. But I do think there's just so much potential, and mostly, like, what I am most excited about is cutting up panels like this, doing cool things, welding up tables, woodwork, a lot of that coming, but also because you've seen on my channel, or if you haven't, a lot of smalls, right? A lot of these possibilities, with metals, engraving these stainless, and let's be real, the knives, like so many cool knife blanks we're gonna make. Obviously this is etched. The real stuff is coming. So lots of good stuff. Well, thank you for watching. Really hope that this helped, answered some questions, and it added value for you. Until next time, take care.